Today, I have with me Dennis Schooley from Schooley Mitchell. And for those of you who do not know my background, my very first start in franchising was with Dennis Schooley at Schooley Mitchell. He was my very first franchise. And I got to tell you, that really set the stage for just how well and how good I feel about franchising. Getting involved with his team, really feeling like part of the family, the kind of support that I got from Dennis Schooley, it just said, I've got to get this out to other people. I've got to tell other people about franchising. He was just an amazing first start for me. I loved everything about a franchise and about him and about how he helped me grow. So Dennis, at this point in time, tell us about yourself, a little bit of history about your franchise.
Well, thanks, Greg. I'm almost blushing over here just listening to that. But, we've been around for 22 years or so now with Schooley Mitchell. We are consultants. Each of our franchisees is a consultant in their community, helping other businesses reduce their costs so they make them more profitable. My personal background is I'm a CPA. Hopefully that doesn't belie my personality, but regardless, that's my background. And we sort of grew this business out of that accounting practice way back when. Not that our franchisees have anything to do with accounting, but it's a professional service like that where we're helping business clients. We're helping them reduce their costs and be more profitable. We don't deal with tax or law like an accountant or a lawyer would, but we are advisors to business clients. So that's what we've been doing. We started out, like I said, 22 years ago or so, helping companies reduce their telecom costs, but it's grown a lot since then. Our first few years, though, it was all about telecom reduction. And then we got into merchant services and helping clients reduce those costs. And since that time, we've actually expanded into 8 different expense categories and soon to be 10. So we're adding 2 more very shortly. So that really what it is our clients simply help, or our franchisees simply help clients become more profitable by cutting out expenses where they're a little difficult to manage on their own. They're confusing. The vendors certainly have a markup they probably shouldn't have in a lot of cases. And that's what we do. We just help right the ship for our clients is what we do. Now, one of the cool things about how we do that is that we don't charge fees to come in and do our analysis to help that company. We actually do this on what's called a contingency basis, which means if we don't find savings, there's no fee. If we do, we take them to the client, and if the client likes what we found, they'll approve that, and then we'll share in the findings. So we share the savings for a 3-year period, and our franchisees are really quite successful in doing that because there's a lot of overpayments out there by businesses for these types of expenses. Does that sort of help what you were asking with, Greg?
Perfect. So you've expanded out quite a bit then from just doing telecom, and now you're going out into 10 different categories. So your consultants are a one-stop shop for any business looking to save money.
They really are. And I mean, and telecom itself can be broken down into 7 or 8 different categories on its own because we do all of it, wireless and wireline and data and internet and conferencing. We do all of that. But we also do merchant services. A lot of companies now accept much to have those transactions processed. We do courier costs, so small package shipping, the things that you would think of FedEx and UPS, other vendors like that. Again, people are paying way too much for that. We do look at waste as well, and companies have to dispose of, whether that's garbage or recycling or medical waste or electronic waste or grease or sludge or whatever it might be that they have to pay for to get rid of. We're going to help them do that less expensively by getting the right vendor with the right program and the right characteristics. We also do electronic logging devices. So when a fleet of vehicles has to have these logging devices installed, they're generally paying more than they should to the vendors of that. We help them minimize their costs in that area. We look at e-signature. So when people are getting contracts or agreements or anything they need to have signed, in a virtual way, again, they're paying way too much to have that service, and we make sure they're paying for what they use and what they want and what they need. And then utilities and fuel are the last 2 categories. So think of that as electricity, electricity and natural gas, or in the fuel area, it's gasoline, propane, things like that. So yeah, we're pretty much a one-stop shop. And the next one that we're going to be announcing in the very near future is software as a service, because every single business use the software. And again, understanding what they're paying for, all the security measures, the characteristics of the software, the number of users, all that sort of stuff is really confusing, and we help businesses make the right choices.
Well, you must have a heck of a support system then with all of that going on. How do you do all that? How do you manage all that?
Well, we do. And, we started out with really dust, a good idea. And my wife, Beth, and I run the business together. She's the smart one. She runs the operations and the programmers and the what we call production people, the analysts. I do the sales and marketing, the franchising side, but we run the business together. But we've got 110 people on our support team here at our head office. And so that's a pretty heavy support system for about 220 franchises, which is what we have right now at this point in time. But we know that. We know we're over supporting our franchises because we want them to be really successful in the field. And so we're willing to make that commitment. And yeah, you're right. To do all the things that we do, we got to have a lot of people to support those systems.
Well, when your franchisees are just getting started and then they're going out and they're having to talk to all these businesses, do you walk them through how to approach the businesses and how to talk to them and just where to get their clients?
Absolutely. And Greg, actually, I just came off my 3-day training course just before we started this interview. So I personally spend 3 days with every new franchisee in a group, of course, once a month, showing them what it is that we do, telling them what we say, and dealing with objections and all of our different sales tactics and strategies and programs. It's really very pervasive. And yeah, we spend a lot of time. But then each franchisee, well, we have other training besides that too, but each franchisee is assigned a one-on-one coach as well. And that's one of the people on our support team that has experience. And that one-on-one coach basically holds the hand of the franchisee as they develop their business. And, the franchisee will use them more often their first few weeks because you're going to talk to them every day. And then, maybe a little less than that. But that coach is with you, through your first full year and beyond. So, we really do feel and believe in over support and over help for our franchisees, because it's all about our franchisees being successful. And that's what's going to drive our business to keep growing like it has for the last 20 years.
Well, I imagine so. Back, I think it was like 10 years ago when I started with you, you had like 100 different ways to go find clients for me. And you said, here they are, Greg, and here's how you do it. And just anytime you need something, give me a call. Yeah. So it's just been fantastic. It sounds like it's growing from there.
It has, but I still say that same thing, that when I start that training class, we're gonna talk about 100 things, and that fire hose is going to be right down your throat. And that's why the coach is so important, because it's hard to remember and do all those things. But we expose you to all of those different programs and ideas and strategies and tactics, and then the coach guides you through them, really, as long as you run your business.
So you're never wondering, what do I do next? You've got it right there in front of them. This is exactly what you do next.
If you wonder what you're supposed to do next, it means you're not talking to your coach and you're not using our manuals.
There you go. Good deal. So all these great people that are coming into your franchise, I know it's growing incredibly. Every week or so, we see 2, 3, 4, 5 new franchisees coming. Well, who are you looking for in your ideal franchise? What kind of person?
Yeah, and we have a list of must-haves, Greg. We want somebody that's either got management or executive, sales or marketing, or consulting experience. So somebody that's got some business experience is going to be the good franchise the best franchise for us. And you don't have to be any one specific type. I mean, we've got accountants and lawyers and engineers. We've got doctors. We've got management people. We've got executives. We've got salespeople. We've got marketing people. But as long as you've got one of those types of backgrounds and are willing to learn how we do things here, you can really run a successful franchise. And, I always say to people, we've got people that make $1 million a year and I mean net dollars. But I always do say in that same breath, we've also got people making nothing because they don't get out of bed. This is a business where we give you all the tools, all the training, all the support, but you've got to do it. Okay. You've got to do it.
That's true. I remember going to the convention that you had down there in Mexico when I first started, and just listening to the franchisees who have been around for a couple of years. It's just amazing how much money each one of those was making, because they did actually get out of bed and they went out and they did it, and they really had a good time.
Yep.
So one thing that I noticed back then was that there's two different aspects to Schooley Mitchell. One is going out and getting the clients, and the other one is doing the analysis of the bills on there. So do you still have that differentiation where some people will go out and get the business and some do the bills? Or how does that work right now?
Yeah, although I will say to you, very few people actually do the analysis part anymore. I mean, we do have options where if someone wants to do that part in the telecom area, we teach them how to do it. We give them our tools, we train them. We even do the first 10 clients along with them to make sure they're doing it right and doing it efficiently. But I'd say only about 10% of our people actually do that part of the business. So, we realize now that we've gotten into so many different expense categories, nobody can be an expert in all these categories. So we have experts on our staff to do the analysis in each one of those categories. And most people, they get the client, they build the relationship with the client, they present the reports to the client, explain to the client with our support, of course, and then they build a long-term relationship for referrals and renewals with them. That's what the franchisee does. Is the fun stuff for the most part. The tearing through the bills and doing reports and analyzing them, that's the eggheads up here that do most of that stuff. So that doesn't have to be on anybody's plate.
Good deal. So walk me through then when your franchise is just starting out, what kind of a day are they looking at? What can they expect to be doing throughout the day?
Yeah, and it's going to be talking to people that you know. It's going to be networking and establishing relationships with new people. It's going to be talking to the people that you have as clients, which is not that hard to get a client or two in your first week or so after training, and then talking to them about referrals. And we've got a really specific program on how to do that. And see, with our business, it's much easier to refer to us than it is really to any other business. And the reason I say that is because nobody has a cost reduction consultant, and we don't charge money to do what we do. So when we get a client here, Greg, we've got a concept we call the shining star. And what that means is that client has the ability to refer us out in 5 different ways. So this is what our franchisees are doing. They're talking to the client about how they can refer us out to their neighbors or to their vendors or to their customers or to the people they socialize with that might be business people or personal contacts that might be business people. So it's an easy referral to make because, like I said, nobody has, you're not trying to get somebody to use this plumber instead of that plumber or this accountant instead of that accountant. It's just, hey, you might be spending more than you should. Do you want these guys to take a look at it? And they don't even charge you any money to look. They just share what they find. So that's how we build the business. And that's what a franchisee is doing, talking to people about that, whether that's over lunch or over coffee at a networking event or dealing with their own clients. That's the type of activities that our franchisees are doing. And they find it really very enjoyable, quite frankly.
So a lot of business, that's great to hear. Yeah, it's talking with people and getting to know people is always a lot of fun. Meet a lot of interesting people that way. Do they do anything over the internet? I know a lot of businesses now have been going, just doing Zoom meetings and because of the COVID stuff. Do you find any of your franchisees doing that, or still the best way to do it is to get out and get with people? How are they doing these days?
Oh, no. I mean, I've always been an advocate of belly-to-belly meetings, but I've certainly adjusted my way of thinking since the pandemic started. And I will tell you that we got very good at virtual within 2 days of the pandemic. We had trained all of our people in March of 20, within 2 days of the shutdown, how to do it, what the options are, and how to use them. And we got really good at it really quickly. And our franchisees, on average, never lost a nickel on average income during the entire pandemic period. Now, I won't say that we didn't have a few that crawled under their bed and blamed COVID, but because, that's just human nature. But overall, no, we're really good. And I do believe it's going to be a hybrid now and in the future where virtual presentations have an efficiency to them, and we've become better at it and much more accepting of it too. For example, I just saw that dog in the background in yours.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody accepts that. That's the way it is. The cat runs across the screen. That CEO's never offended by that anymore. It's just the way that our world is. So we've become better at it and more accepting of it. And I think our franchisees have learned that, and they've learned how to do presentations, either virtually or in person, network virtually or in person. Some of our people will even have lunch with people over the internet. They'll use Grubhub or something like that to deliver a sandwich to their client or their prospect and have a sandwich virtually. Just make it fun. So no, we think we execute best of both worlds.
That's fantastic. Well, at this point in time, where are you going to go into the future? Where do you see Schooley Mitchell evolving into?
Well, we've got goals that, this might sound a little pompous, but we do think we're already a great company, but we've got a vision on how to build what we think will be a great company. And a lot of our franchisees are on that same train, and we're going down the road together to build what we feel will be just a really great entity in the future. With new franchises, with lots of new clients, with lots of new cost categories that we're going to approach. Maybe we'll even be in some other countries at some point. We don't know. We don't have any specific strategy related to that. But, our vision is to be that company that's sort of more all-encompassing than we already are, and more important.
And you've got how many different categories at this point in time in cost?
Well, it's 8 right now, but within the next couple of months, it's going to be 10.
So it's pretty easy then. Once you get one client for one service, that's all you got to do. And then you just go out and just start adding in other services. Well, since I'm already doing this for you, let's take a look at that.
Yeah. And, one thing we probably thought we would never get into is the waste area, garbage. We didn't think it really fit our professional image, but we were convinced that it did make sense. And it's turned out to be one where most companies, they'll say, yeah, sure, go ahead and take a look at my garbage, take a look at my waste. And now we can go in and prepare our professional report, show them what we can find. We usually find really good savings in that area. And you're right, then that opens up the door to all the other expense categories that business may have. So it's a great leader.
Fantastic. And on those reports, how do the reports come out? Do they have like a couple different samples or ideas that they have with that, or they just get one? How does that work?
Yeah. No, in almost all cases, we'll present 3 options to the client. And we'll always present one with their existing vendors, their incumbent vendors. And 80% of the time, our recommendations are with the incumbent vendor. We're not just going around changing people to different suppliers and different vendors. Sometimes we are, because it's worthwhile, or sometimes the client doesn't like their existing vendor and we help them change. But most of the time, it's with their existing vendors. So what we show in our what we call value report is one option, how much we can save with their existing vendors, and then 2 alternate vendors. And that way the client can choose what's best for them. And we explain each one of them to them, and away we go.
That is so nice. And you don't charge them anything. Your franchisees just share in the cost reduction on it. So win-win situation.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. There's no fees for what we do. And if we're not going to find any savings, or if the client doesn't necessarily like what we find and recommend to them, then there won't be any fees. But we know overall, we're going to almost always find savings, and that overall our client base, we're going to make good money by doing what we do, and our clients are going to benefit significantly as well. So it's a great business for those that see themselves, in this type of professional business, developing clientele and building great relationships. That's what this is about.
Well, if you like doing that sort of thing, like getting about, enjoy talking with people, then Schooley Mitchell is definitely your thing. So how do people get a hold of you, Dennis?
Well, we've got our website, www.schooleymitchell.com. So that's pretty easy. We've got an 800 number, 888-311-6477, and just ask for franchise development. We've got a team of people that work on that part of the business, and anybody that has an interest in learning more, just let us know. And we'll have one of our people reach out and give you, information you can assess, and have a phone call with you to explain things. And I know, Greg, you've talked to our people. They're great people. And then we take you all the way through the program to make sure it makes sense for you, and that you make sense for us. And there's a number of steps along the way that we do, but we've got a team of people that do that. And the other remainder of the 110 to help our franchisees make more money.
I can attest to the fact that you had a great team of people when I worked with you, and I've been hearing good things about you still. So if anybody's interested in learning more about Schooley Mitchell, reach out to Dennis, or just give me a call and I'll tell you my great experience that I had with them and how they got me started in my franchising life. It's just been amazing. Thank you, Dennis.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Greg.